Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Carrie and today I'm doing the first part of my February wrap-up. I went to the library and got out 11 books this month, 6 of which I've read already. So since they have to go back before the end of February and I don't want to renew them right now because, you know, they're done, I'm going to film my February wrap-up in 2 separate parts, this being the first. Let's get started. The most recent book I finished was Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah. This book is the last in the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. It follows Emma something, and Julian Blackthorne and his family. Same complaints as her other books, which kinda sucks. There's a forbidden romance, and I'm just really done of the same subplot. And also, people do not die properly. If you stab somebody with a sword, they do not come back as anything, or they shouldn't. But Cassandra Clare can't let people die properly, and it just really bothers me. However, I will say that I did like the family relationships in this. I liked how they dealt with the grief. I think that was in character, and there's great rep in this. There's people of color representation, there's also LGBTQ plus representation, and I thought that was great. Like I said, same problems. Also, this book could have been cut in half easily. 300 pages in and I was so bored because nothing had happened. 600 pages in and things were starting to happen. I don't understand why this needed to be 880 pages. I'm irritated. I also read Confessions of Young Nero by Margaret George. I did a book review on this, which should be up by the time this is up, so I'll leave that link down below. This follows Nero from when he's about 7 to about 21 or 22. He becomes emperor at 16, and there is a second book written by her called The Splendor Before the Dark that picks up right where this one leaves off, which is to say, when Rome is burning. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, mostly because it's hard to separate what we know of Nero, or what I know of Nero, which is he's an awful guy who should have been fed to the lions, with the human portrayal that is this book. I really enjoyed it. Go check out my review if you want to hear more. And I also read a series called the Finishing School series by Gail Carriger. I also did a review on this one, so I will leave that link down below as well. But this one is Etiquette and Espionage, Curtsies and Conspiracies, Waistcoats and Weaponry, and Manners and Mutiny. They are all about 300 pages. They are a middle grade YA steampunk fantasy set in 1851 to 1854 London, or more specifically Dartmoor. The school is set in a dirigible which flies across the moor and basically tries to keep itself hidden because it's teaching girls not only how to be finished and move around properly in society, such as how low do you curtsy when you meet the queen, or what fork do you use, or how to flirt and seduce a man, but it also teaches them how to kill a man, how to get intelligence from a man, and anything else like that. I loved these books. I gave the first one a 3, the second two a 4, and the last one a 5. It was a fantastic conclusion to the series. There is no insta-love in this. There is some sort of experimentation in that Sophronia, our main character, flirts and tries to figure out how to seduce one of the other characters that we meet in here from the boys' school for evil geniuses. I really loved the mechanical aspect of it. There is a sort of pet in here which is just adorable, and there, like I said, no insta-love. There are elements of race and classism in here, which, again, check out my review if you want to hear more, but overall, highly recommend this series, and I'm very glad that I read it. And now I will see you in my second part of my February wrap-up. And then we get into the rest of the books that I read. I have no table and I should really buy a table to put these on, but for the time being we're going to put them over here. The first one was Plain English for Lawyers by Richard Whittick. I read this simply because as a law clerk I do a lot of writing and researching, and I thought since I bought this in law school it would maybe behoove me to read it now. I think I gave this book a 3 or a 4 out of 5 stars. It's helpful in some aspects, but the problem was a lot of it I had heard before, so it felt a little bit, very much so, repetitive to me and unnecessary. However, I think that if you are looking for a good place to start as far as legal writing goes, this is a good book. I also read Dragon Pearl by Yoon Ha Lee, which is part of Rick Riordan's new publishing line. This is a science fiction space opera with Korean mythological roots. The main character is a fox spirit, which comes from Korean mythology, and her brother turns out apparently deserted, or at least that's what they're told. She knows her brother, she knows he would not desert to find this mythical dragon pearl, and so she infiltrates the space. It's not an army, but that's kind of what it sounds like. So she infiltrates them and tries to find her brother. I did highly enjoy this book. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because it felt a little overly simplistic. It is a very short book though, so the oversimplistic parts made sense, and it all wound together quite nicely. I'm excited for the next book. I just wanted more. I read and annotated Becoming by Michelle Obama. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars as well. I think this was a very well-written, superficial book about Michelle. It went through her life, and I appreciated that. I think she glossed over and hid a lot of parts, which I do understand because she was First Lady of the United States and is still very much so in the public eye. The biggest problem I had with this wasn't even that I wanted to know more about her personal life. I don't particularly need to know about anybody's personal life, and she gave us information. Like, that's great, fine. But what I wanted to know was more about how she went about going into these programs like The Garden at the White House, or there's one about education, and just the different programs that she started or helped foster as First Lady. She glossed over them. That bothered me because that was the part I wanted to know about. Not, oh yeah, we made a garden. Well, great, but how did you make the garden? Why was this, there could have been so much more as to the political machinations that she had to go through to get all of these things done, and how to inspire newer generations in moving along things in politics, because as we all know, bureaucracy is one of the slowest possible things that humans have come up with. But I did annotate this book quite a lot, so I did enjoy it. I just, kind of like Dragon Pearl, I wanted more out of this. Then, lucky me, I finished a series finally, and that series is the Bloody Jack series by L.A. Meyer. I read book 11, which is Boston Jackie, and book 12, which is Wild Rover No More. These two books are the last two in a 12-book series that starts with Bloody Jack, which I have over on my shelves right there, and I think I gave Boston Jackie a 3 out of 5 and Wild Rover No More a 4.5 or a 5, something like that. I think Boston Jackie was fun, but it felt very much so, I need to get through this so that I can write the last one. And that's not normally L.A. Meyer's style, at least it hasn't been in the last 10, but this one is the penultimate book, and so he's trying to wrap up 10 other books and all of her adventures to get to the last one. That said, Wild Rover No More definitely had me squealing and whimpering in pain and anguish at the end, because oh my god, I was so nervous. So nervous, you do not understand. But I read it, loved it, fantastic ending, and I'm thrilled that I finally finished this series. And then the last book I read in February is The Empire of Blue Water by Stephen Talty. This is a book about Captain Morgan, Captain Henry Morgan in the 17th century, who was a pirate. The subtitle is Captain Morgan's Great Pirate Army, the Epic Battle for the Americas, and the Catastrophe that Ended the Outlaws' Bloody Reign. This book is a nonfiction. I got it from the library, and I think I gave it a 3.5. It's a little bit redundant sometimes. He has paragraphs that start with a sentence that then reiterates itself 3 times in 7 sentences. I realize that some people need that repetition to get through a book, but I don't know anybody who needs it that much. So that was a little irritating. I did love the anecdotes that he had in here about Morgan, and my favorite part was definitely the references. He references history past, he references things that hadn't yet happened when this book sort of occurs in the 17th century, and I loved that aspect of it. The writing was fine, it wasn't spectacular, it wasn't bad. It was a good start anyway to learning about Henry Morgan. So I did enjoy this book. I'm glad I read it. It's a good start. Those are all of the books I read in February. I think it's 10 total. That sounds right. And then I started many others, which you will see in my March TBR. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.